it's just astonishing. Some of the stuff that you come across in the news, right? It just tends to blow your mind. It just pushes your ability to consider the depravity of human beings right out to the limit. I mean, after Auschwitz and Treblinka and Bergen-Belsen and on and on and on, Sobibor, and the list goes on, how can somebody be outraged at a priest sexually molesting a kid? I mean, that would be, I guess, one way of looking at what American priests and Catholic priests around the world have done to children. No matter what they do, it could never be as what was done to children in these death camps during the Nazi era. And of course, the church, in so many instances, were willing partners in the Nazification of these East European countries. The church and the Nazis had an agreement, apparently. As long as the church didn't interfere in the horrors that the Nazis were perpetrating against the human race, the Nazis would leave the stupid priests alone. A workable agreement. Now, there are revisionists who are already, or who started 50 years ago, rewriting that history. That no, wrong. The Catholic Church never were willing or unwilling partners in the Nazification of Europe. Well, bullshit. Not because I say so, but because there is a photographic and historical record available to anybody who wants to go on the internet and look it up. Catholic priests, Nazis. Boom. So I can't help but go back to what I said last week. Now that this report from this grand jury has had a chance to percolate through the Catholic community all the way up to the Pope, who lost his shit this morning about all this. Let me see. What did he say? Yeah, Pope, I understand. Oh, yeah. Here it is. From the New York Times. Or no, from Newsweek. Pope Francis has issued a letter to Catholics around the world condemning the child sexual abuse carried out and covered up by 300 Catholic priests over the past 70 years. In his letter, Pope Francis said it is, quote, essential that we as a church be able to acknowledge and condemn with sorrow and shame the atrocities perpetrated by consecrated priests, or consecrated persons, clerics, and all those entrusted with the mission of watching over and caring for those most vulnerable. He went on to say this: the heart-wrenching pain of these victims, which cries out to heaven, was long ignored, kept quiet, or silenced. But their outcry was more powerful than all the measures meant to silence it, or sought even to resolve it by decisions that increased its gravity by falling into complicity. The outcry was more powerful than all the measures meant to silence it. He added, the pain of the victims and their families is also our pain. Oh, Mr. Pope, fuck you. You're going to tell me you can experience what an adult male penis being rammed up a 10-year-old boy's rectum feels like, to the extent that you share the pain? Oh, go fuck yourself. You're out of your mind, you crazy goddamn idiot. You want to jump in? Sure, go ahead before I really get crazed.
Well, not only because, fuck the Pope and all, you might want to just dial it back just a fraction, but just, I don't know why, just because I think this is the least Nazi Pope of all the Nazi popes we've had since Pope John Paul II, who ended communism. the real threat. Anyway, the point I wanted to make was, don't you give this guy a little bit of credit for being the first pope ever to even acknowledge the extent, and even mention the victims?
No.
I mean, you don't give him any credit
None.
for trying to. I have a little bit
Well, you know
more
why I
love in
don't,
my heart
Kathy?
for this one.
The reason I don't is because there was not a goddamn word spoken until these grand jury reports come out. This Catholic Church has known for 1,500 years that its priesthood are sexual predators. So no, I don't give this Pope one fucking ounce of credit.
Okay. Just checking.
If this were something that was brand new, you know, the Boston Globe came with the shit in 2002, 2004, this massive report. The entire country of Ireland almost had a nervous breakdown when they found out what the good Irish priests were doing there. Aye, it's a terrible thing. All over the world. So no, this Pope gets zero props from me for saying shit like the heart-wrenching pain of these victims, which cries out to heaven, was long ignored. No shit, asshole. Now, before Pope Francis became Pope, he was a cardinal, a bishop, an archbishop, a priest. And we are to believe, I guess, that in his long fucked up career as a purveyor of nonsensical bullshit, he never knew that little boys and girls were being raped and raped and raped and raped, and having their little minds and nascent faith in life being fucking shattered by priests. No, I'm sorry. I don't give this Pope credit for anything, Kathy. None of these popes, not one of them. There is not a single authority, and I say this confidently, there's not a single authority in the Catholic Church, from the lowest parish priest up to His Eminence, you know, the direct link between God and humans, the Pope. Nobody in that long chain of filth and crime and venality has been unaware what this institution, this filthy, filthy death cult, this rape cult, what it's about. They know. They know exactly what it's about. So when we talk about reform, to me, there are certain institutions, in my opinion, just my cheesy little opinion, that are beyond reformation. They're beyond. Because it's like trying to reform the Nazi Party. How the fuck are you going to do that? You can't. How do you reform the Catholic Church? You can't.
It's as bad as the Nazis.
What?
It's as bad as the Nazis.
As bad as the Nazis?
Yes.
Well, if you consider the Inquisitions, and if you consider the Crusades, and you consider the death and destruction that the Church, so-called, brought to the rest of the population of the world, yeah, they're right up there with the Nazis.
You forgot the Americans.
Huh?
You forgot the Americans.
The Americas?
Yes. What the Catholics did here.
Oh, no, I didn't forget the Americas. No matter where the Church went, they brought death, disease, destruction, murder, mayhem. No. Anyway, what I was trying to say is this is not an institution that can be reformed. It just can't be. I know, what's his name, Martin Luther tried it in the 1500s, and how did that work out? It's still around. It's still predatory. It's still raping children. It will continue to rape children. It will continue to be what it's been for the past 1,800 years. It's not going to change. So what's the solution? End it. Dismantle it. Take all the wealth that the church has accumulated in art and treasures and gold and jewelry and property around the planet. How much do you suppose it is? How many trillions? turn it all into cash and disperse it among the poor people that have been following this fucked up religion for generations and are still suffering poverty and horror and pain and sickness and suffering. Dissolve the church. End it. End it. What fucking good is it doing that is not outweighed 1,000 to 1, 1,000,000 to 1 by the horror that this organization has perpetrated on human beings for 2 millennia?